Yesterday, we saw some surprises in drafts to welcome us to 9.2. We'll see what teams deliver today for the viewers. 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians come into the day desperate for a win after their 0-3 starts, and we'll see which fans can celebrate the first win of 2019. Come on, Mark.
That was like a 20%
I'm an analyst. What do you want me to do? There's something on screen. Not a whole lot of analysis there. At least tell me what's wrong with the shot.
You just do the same thing every day. That was interesting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's cool. He made 1 out of 4.
Yeah. As well, we got to welcome Kobe back to the desk here for the countdown.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us for the LCS countdown, where for 30 minutes we make 100% reasonable statements based on the league's limited sample size and preview the day's matches until the timer reaches 0, and we jump into Champion Select. If we take a look at how the teams rank, we see Team Liquid continues to be king as they sit in first at 3-0. While there's a clump tied at 2-1, followed by Counterlogic Gaming and Echo Fox in 7th. Looking at those standings, the biggest surprise of day 1 for this week seems to be that this Optic squad continues to pick up wins.
Yeah, and it's really easy to point to Crown as the biggest part of that, but every other player on that team is really stepping up and doing their job within that. Dardoch getting a lot of stuff early on. Dokla getting 5 kills on the Scion and just completely shutting down Huni was huge in that win.
It really was. I mean, this Optic squad, a lot of people are cheering for them because so many of them, are coming off the Academy roster, right? And they have a lot of explosive wins behind them.
And even though they're coming from the Academy roster, it's not like Dardoch is new to the LCS, right? He's like dominated the LCS
He's
before.
the bad boy of the LCS.
Right. It's not like it's some random Academy player coming in. It's like these really good LCS players coming up, so it's exciting to see.
And the team they beat to move to 2-1, it was Clutch. They, of course, were 2-0 in week 1, now sitting at 2-1 themselves.
A little disappointing. It feels like 2 games in a row now. Huni's gotten into a lot of trouble in this game. This one, not quite his fault, but we're still expecting to see more out of this guy.
Yeah, without a doubt. We'll see who can end their weekend on a high note with the matchups that we have today. First up, 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians have a battle at the bottom for game 1. Then Optic Gaming hopes to keep their momentum going as Dardoch faces off against his old team, Echo Fox. 2 more matches before we close out the day with CLG versus Cloud9. And with the team's backs against the wall, Prawley still has confidence in his roster to pull through despite the rough start.
Team morale is going pretty good. I think our practice has been going pretty well, and I think we're learning a lot from each of our games on stage and off. So I think that's probably the biggest part in why our morale is still pretty good. GGS will be our easiest opponent yet. We've played C9, TSM, and TL, so relative to our schedule so far, this should be our definite first win since we weren't able to pick them up earlier. So I'm excited about today.
Calling this the definite first win. Looking at this game 1, we've got 2 teams, though, who were firmly put in the playoff picture when it came to those preseason power rankings, and now they're looking down the barrel at an 0-4 start. One of them's got to win, one of them's got to lose. And here's a terrifying factoid. The only 2 teams that have ever made the playoffs after a start of that kind, the 0-4, is Vulcan in 2013 spring, there's a name to remember, and Team Liquid in 2016 summer.
Yeah, that's not good news, and this is a lot of people who put 100 Thieves top 4 in the power ranking. I know both of us
I'm
did for ours.
invested in them too, personally.
Yeah, you bought stock in them week 1.
I got 3 of their stock. I'm not feeling very good so far.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning to see them right now at 0-3. They have a really tough time, but they haven't looked good in the first 3 games either. Not just that they're losing, it's how they look in those games.
Exactly. I mean, yes, 100 Thieves have had very difficult opponents starting off. TSM, Cloud9, Team Liquid, 3 of the strongest teams in our entire league. However, if you look at the actual games, it's not just that their opponents were difficult, it's also individual mistakes, unforced errors that you could make against any team.
Right, doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, but that's where we kind of turn back to what Prawley was saying in his interview. If you look ahead at their schedule, Golden Guardians, Clutch, CLG, and FlyQuest, there's a couple teams in there that you would definitely expect them to some degree handily beat.
Right, so their first 3 games are a lot harder than the next 4 games, so it's going to be really telling for the rest of the split, depending on how this game goes. Since if you start off 0-4, that's a really big mental boom for the team. And I've been in that situation. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've been in that situation where I've been 0-4. I don't want to talk about it in too much detail, but it's a pretty depressing atmosphere at the
Bringing back tough memories here for High.
Trying to forget that stuff.
Now, you wish you could prop up the same arguments for Golden Guardians, but their expected wins were in week 1, and they didn't come away with them. So if you look ahead for Golden Guardians, it just doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, speaking of stocks, me and Mark also both bought into Golden Guardians here, also starting out with the 0-3. And these guys were really hyped up compared to last year because they brought on such big names. You know, Hanser from TSM, frogging back into the league. Gonna see how he's gonna perform and mushing them all together. Olay as well. And yet, Mark, we already want to sell our stock.
I wish I could sell after week 1.
You gotta wait till next week, my friends. But the portfolios are definitely taking a hit here early on in the 2019 season. Looking at their strength of schedule here, 100 Thieves, Optic Gaming, TSM, TL. Man, that is a tough road ahead of them.
It's basically the complete opposite of the 100 Thieves story, where it's like, okay, they don't look great, but they played really good teams, should ease up from here. Golden Guardians, like we said, were supposed to win their first weekend's games, and now they're getting into the real gauntlet with TL and TSM looking really good. Optic as well has been a bit of a surprise, and even 100 Thieves was someone, like we said, preseason-wise, we expect to be a difficult opponent.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which team steps up today to grab their first win of the 2019 season. Time for us to take a break. When we return, we share which players we're keeping an eye on ahead of today's matches, so don't touch that browser. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, 20 minutes away from Champions Select. And with a couple of games under their belts and potential to deliver big for fans today, here are the pros we're going to keep an eye on in our players to watch. For week 2, they are Cloud9's Niski, Clutch's Demonte, CLG Wiggly, and 100 Thieves Someday. First up, let's talk about Niski.
Is it gonna be Hitski or Miski, James? So far, thank you, Mark. So far, he has more often been Hitski, especially considering yesterday his Zoe performance once again. I think he's fitting in really well with this Cloud9 roster. They had a Korean boot camp that seems to have paid off for them. People were super worried when they heard the news that Team Liquid was stealing away Jensen, but they have found a fairly suitable replacement. Yes, he does still have some work to go on, and there have been some mistakes in the games, but they have been picking poke compositions over and over, and he has had the accuracy to back those up.
And we had an opportunity to hear from Sven and Licorice yesterday on the couch with Ovly about that addition to the team and how kind of his willingness to move outside of the lane and affect the rest of the map has aided them, especially in their top jungle duo. So very interesting to see how that team has developed. Next up, Mark, let's talk about Demonte, another impressive mid laner here.
Yeah, and kind of coming out of nowhere, I think, for their early wins. Demonte has been a huge factor in those. While Huni, who was supposed to be the focal point, he was kind of floundering in the last 2 games, it was Demonte who was the bright, shining star and potentially saving them from last game and actually saving them against the game in TSM. So he's had a huge performance. We want to see if we can keep this up and if he will become kind of NA's new hope in the mid lane.
Yeah, without a doubt. Did suffer a loss yesterday, but still had that top-tier performance. Look at that KDA and those numbers.
It's Tanner from high school.
Tanner from high school. It is time to shine,
He
baby.
did that 3 times in rehearsal, and then he just slipped it in.
Do it again. Just so we're clear, nobody laughed. Not a single time in rehearsal.
Oh, I got some more horrible ones coming. I got some horrible ones coming today.
All right, the feedback system here clearly isn't working. We're going to have to revamp that during the week. Next up, CLG's Wiggly. He was a part of the first win for the org just yesterday.
And he was really important for a lot of people's preseason hopes for CLG. Him plus Power of Evil coming in. Wiggly was crushing the academy scene last year. He had 2 good games at the end when they subbed him in, and people were looking for him. And then we only saw him in week 1, but it was with Fallen Bandit. And now that we're kind of seeing what we hoped was the starting roster, they did pick up a win. It wasn't super impressive. They did fall 4,000 gold behind, so we're going to keep our eye on him to make sure that he is starting to step up and have a larger influence on these games.
Right. Even his stats, not crazy impressive. The point is, this was the expectation in starting roster. We finally saw it. They got the win. We'll see how they ramp up from this point forward. Finally, 100 Thieves Someday, a guy who's underperforming due to expectation.
Yeah, I definitely feel bad for Someday because he was talking about himself. He feels disappointed, like he hasn't been living up to his own expectations, and you can't see that in some of the games, these unforced errors that we've been talking about. So this is a guy that we expect to bounce back, and he should continue to watch him.
It feels like they've been putting resources into him too, which isn't always the case when he was on 100 Thieves last year, and it's not really turning results yet, which is the scary part.
Almost makes it more egregious.
Probably said they either look like geniuses or
Morons,
morons, what's the word?
Whatever it is, it was that one. That's what they looked like. All right, well, from the outside looking in, it's hard to nail down what informs the split-second decisions that determine whether a call is game-winning or losing. Now, thankfully, we've got a pro shot caller on the desk with us to walk us through some of those plays that stood out to him in the starting weeks of Season 9. Hi, first of all, thank you for bringing your big brain to the desk.
Welcome over. Welcome to class.
I've been hurting for one for years here on the desk.
I got some instructions to show
Oh,
you
I forgot my pencil. Does anyone have one?
Uh-oh.
Oh, Kobe's going to run it to me. Thank you so much.
This is some top-tier notes. I hope you're ready.
Here we go. break it down for me. The first thing I want to talk about league fundamentals, and we're doing team-oriented league fundamentals, is how to set up for objectives. So help me out.
So we're going to have a play come up here. Now, every objective that happens in this game, you should probably prepare about a minute in advance. So here in this game, you'll see that both supports recall, get wards, and start setting up vision near dragon, right? After they recall and set up vision, you'll basically want to group together and get control together. So you watch Team Liquid, Doublelift is over here. He needs to go through middle and go with his team. It doesn't really matter where Xmithy goes, if he wants to flank or go through the front. He actually tries to go for a flank, which I think is good. But you'll watch Doublelift not go the correct way in this fight, and you'll see they take a 3v5. C9's all clumped up together as 5 people over here. And even though Team Liquid is ahead and Cassiopeia is super strong, they lose this team fight due to the fact you have a flanking Lucian. We've seen that before with Huni teleporting in, and I don't really think it worked out that well for him. And as you can see here, Lucian's just barely joining the fight. If he's behind a Sion, he can do a lot of damage, but he's off on the side, kind of not really doing much. So just as a minor note, try to group together, grow through mid. That priority through mid is important.
No flanking Lucian.
Yeah.
Those are the big takeaways.
Generally a bad thing.
Mid lane control so that you can move from there to contest
Gives you more
in the
options.
river. Absolutely. All right, so now we understand how to set up for objectives, but one of the things I want to understand is how to contest for an objective. If I assume another team is set up around, say, the Baron buff, what are the proper steps that I take to go and contest them at that objective?
Right, so we talked about earlier, we'll have a clip coming up here, how you want to go through mid. So you'll see Fox coming through mid. It's really important to mark the engaged positions on the enemy team. You have to look at the enemy team and see who their engagers is. Clutch has Camille and Galio. So you want a ward in this bush and in that bush at the same time. So that way you'll see where their engagers are. They see 4 people, Baron's at 6k HP. They're not in danger of moving in yet. They know someone's missing. Bam, a Galio coming out of the bush. Haku was just in that area. If he just warded, this play would not have worked. And it's such a minor thing for pro players that they forget at times, but you need to mark the engager.
Yeah, you use this term marking, which I love, but help break down that term for me a little bit more. What exactly does marking mean, and whose responsibility can it be? I know in this case you were mentioning Haku was close. Are there other people that can fill that role?
Right, so marking means either with vision or a person, like a body. If it's an assassin, you probably don't want your support marking because you probably just died. That's where you send a sign to check or something like that, right? But you choose one person on the team. It usually doesn't matter too much who, but one person has to keep track of who that engager is, either through vision or just like, hey, I'm in charge of this guy.
Right. It's their job. Mark it. Make sure the team knows
engage on
and be aware of it. Otherwise, stuff like that happens. You lose the objective. All right. Let's fast forward. I'm piloting a team that has now secured Baron, but we want to use those tools and advantages to close out the game. So how specifically do I use a tool like Baron to cleanly push through into the base and end it all out?
Okay, so once you get Baron, it's a super minor thing, but you want to push the waves together. Here you'll see Team Liquid pushing the bot wave, and 100 Thieves can send all 5 people down to clear the wave. You don't want that. You want the waves to come in at the exact same time. So then the first iteration of Team Liquid doing this, you'll see that they're
misaligned.
Right, and they're thinking in their head, oh, crap, guys, we just messed up. We have to push this together. So once you fast forward, you'll see Jensen not auto-attacking. He's like, okay, guys, we have to wait for the waves to come together. So he's just chilling around, waiting for the wave, and then once mid comes closer, then you push in the waves together. Now, had they done that correctly, this middle tower probably would have died. And little things like this really make the game different. And it's not even like a high-level player or anything like that. It's just a fundamental kind of thing that sometimes teams forget. And it is the very first game in LCS, so as the season goes on, they'll remember how to do this more and more and more.
Right, we saw the first time around when the waves weren't timed together, essentially no damage goes on to that mid turret. This time around, as they crash at the same time, half the health disappears.
Right.
So if you just rinse, repeat that 2 to 3 times in your 30-second minion wave windows, boom, you've now broken the base, easy peasy, and you can close out the
simple
game.
things that people forget.
It's the simple things that people forget, exactly. So there's some league fundamentals. Hai, I got to thank you so much for bringing your mind onto the desk and helping us break that down. If you have a question for Hai or our analysts, go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports, and I'll challenge them to help break it down in similar fashion in future weeks. Hai, again, thank you for joining us. We're stepping away. When we return, we make some statements that may or may not be overreactions and gather win conditions for Game 1. We'll see you here after the break.
Sorry, I was just calling. I was just shooting my calling.
Hey there, C9, this is your ref. Can everyone hear me?
Yep. Yeah. You sound wonderful today, ref.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yasuo or Zed?
I never played Zed in my life.
Razor, connecting. Yeah.
Hey, what if you...
We'll be starting the game in about 20 seconds, guys.
Okay, all right.
Hey, ref, what do I do if a player steals my mouse and licks it, hypothetically? Let's not say it happened.
You know, I watched your Yasuo 1v1 on YouTube.
Oh, with who?
I forgot. You lost.
Really?
Yeah.
From like saliva.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know. My mouse, we could have some mouse issues relating to saliva getting into the sensor.
All right, game started.
Guys, game started.
All right, let's...
Red flash. Nice. Good. Niski.
Yeah.
She knocks him bot side.
We're going top, we're going top.
We win.
I'm not gonna get pulled in, but I'm dead, I'm dead.
I'm gonna knock
We
him.
can still fight, we can still fight.
I also
Players-
has flash and ignite.
We
Yeah,
win.
we fight, we fight.
Kill
Kill this guy.
Yeah.
Red bomb here. Red bomb here.
Look. Alistar, no flash. He's dead.
This guy? Hit him, hit him.
I got him.
I don't need to.
Sunny Camille. Nice. Victor, no flash, no flash in the pit, no flash.
Okay.
I'm comboing four.
I got fear on Brom.
Okay. Careful, Jay. We got it.
Urgot low. He's tagged too.
Second pit.
Alistar, Nocturne.
Flash is dead.
I'm good.
Right.
I can Q flash.
We can kill these guys.
No flashes. No flashes.
Rise.
I'm finishing Dragon.
Yeah, I got dragon.
No Baron's up. Alistar's
Dragon.
tagged.
Alistar
He
flashed
flashed
in.
on me. I'm out. I'm fine. No Urgot out.
Rise flash.
Urgot's. Oh, I didn't hear.
Farming
They
some
can't do
damage
anything.
stats up here.
Yeah, get him.
I wasn't a part of the game, so I really have to do some damage right now. You guys don't
No, you have a 500 gold balance.
Oh, hey.
Protect Derek. Protect
Protect
Derek.
That's fine. We saved him.
Nice job, guys.
Kill him.
Oh yeah.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, 7.5 minutes away from Game 1. Now it's time for the segment where we use the current state of League to make completely reasonable and 100% factually supported assessments.
100%.
100% in overreactions. First up, Team Liquid is the best. They're going to win Worlds.
Woo! Yeah! And
Kobe's
they
on it!
win! Let's go!
He's on the hype train. You think that's a reasonable statement?
I like where you're going with this one, James. Put us on the map. Semifinals, finals just make sense now.
All right, Kobe thinks it's reasonable.
No.
What about the two of you?
No.
Hard no.
That was not
Hard
Team
no.
Liquid in the semifinals, to be fair, right?
That's true.
All right. For those of you who don't think it's reasonable, how about this one? Team Liquid is the best. They're going to win back-to-back splits, just like they did last year.
This is a weird one. I don't think it's an overreaction. It feels still
seems
unlikely.
plausible,
It
right?
seems plausible, but doesn't feel likely to me just because that would mean 4 victories in a row, 4 splits in a row, which we haven't seen before.
Exactly.
But what's weird is, like, right now they look the best. It's very hard between spring and summer to make, like, a sizable upgrade. So, like, who can actually catch them? And it feels like I'm more saying I expect them to slump or to blow up or something than for someone to actually catch them, which is why it feels weird to say that this would ever be an overreaction.
Because the other teams that you're kind of thinking of taking over for them, right now at least, would be like maybe Cloud9, maybe TSM, that both have new pieces, Niski
They need some
and
time to
Broken
gel.
Blade and Acadian and stuff, and you're like, it could happen.
There's
but
potential.
Right.
But it still feels like TL is very much the front runner when it comes to season favorites.
Yeah, it feels like something has to go wrong.
That's
The top
a fair
always
statement.
fall. I know that from experience. You don't always stay at the top. You will fall eventually.
Yeah, that's very true. Next up, this is a fun one. I like this one. Crown is the best pickup of the offseason. Best pickup, not import, of all pickups, and that includes trades from team to team. So Jensen, for example, would be a pickup for TL.
Not an overreaction, and I agree 100% with it.
I feel like that is super reasonable. You could like make an argument for someone else, like Jensen, like Core JJ or something like that, but there's no way you can put Crown out of that. With how well Optic are doing, bringing up basically their academy roster, then Dardoch has an interview. I've played one game with Crown. They're already winning on LCS stage.
I think it's a pretty good argument for Crown, though. Like, you have to compare the people that he's working with, right? Even though you can argue Jensen's an upgrade over Pole Butter, how much of an upgrade is that versus, like, he has the best players on his team to deal with, right? He's going to do well. And then you have Crown that has a bunch of different people that haven't played with him, and he's still performing super well. So I'd say, like, he's doing very, very well given his situation.
All right, finally, let's talk about the Golden Guardians. Are they doomed to three-peat 10th place?
I hope this is an overreaction. I really hope this is an overreaction.
I hope.
I really don't
That's
want
not how this segment works, Mark.
All right.
I don't want that to come to fruition because that means I had a part in this legacy.
You started it.
I am not involved
your
in
baby.
this. I don't recall being a part of this, and I opt out.
They're following in High's footsteps currently.
No.
I refuses to answer. Kobe, is it an overreaction?
I think it might be an overreaction to say they're doomed
Okay.
to have the three-peat, but it is looking very likely. You already had the stat of, teams that have gone 0-4 to start it out. Only 2 teams have ever made playoffs.
And that's a run.
That's a jump between, 10th place or playoffs or something like that. But, people were expecting a lot more from Golden Guardians because of the signings that they had. So definitely not the start they wanted.
Going to be an uphill battle, but by all means not impossible. Let's go ahead and take a look at your predictions for the day. And Mark, you might play cool, but we caught you earlier, desperate for predictions. And I'm happy to see some differences today in your guys' predictions, most notably in that 2nd and 4th game of the day. Oh, here we go. Here's Mark earlier, really struggling.
Really, Mark? It took you this long? I have the same predictions as you?
He needs all the help he can get, to be honest.
Just
I don't think it's
checking in
very
again, seeing how you're doing. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the season, but I'm not doing so hot on predictions, so I was just...
That makes sense. I mean, the guy won the prediction pineapple 2 splits in a row.
I mean, it's right here. I just feel bad holding it when it's not right for
you don't deserve that. You just defiled that trophy. We're going to have to find a new one.
So he went through all that effort, and he even had a phone
Well,
a
Jack
friend.
didn't answer. Jack refuses to talk to me.
Yeah, that's true. And for good reason, all right? He doesn't talk to people.
You definitely need the help for this, so you should keep calling him.
Our worst in the predictions game. All right, well, too long have we let you guys throw out wrong predictions willy-nilly and get away scot-free. So it's time that you get some skin in the game. Today, we're introducing the weekly wager.
Oh.
That's right. When you get a prediction wrong, you may get a little punishment. Or if you get the answer right, there may be a reward in it for you. So, if we could get a little suspenseful music, and if we could go ahead and get some dramatic lighting, that would be, very nice. I like it,
I don't like what's happening.
All right, let's go ahead and see which game we've got for today's weekly wager.
I have a feeling it's going to be a punishment.
Ooh, and it will be TSM versus FlyQuest.
Wow.
That's our weekly wager. Joel, let's go ahead and see what these guys are playing for today. That's right, the loser. If you get this one wrong, will have to do the post-game segment with their mouth on fire.
No!
Wait.
What's under that label?
We can't, product placement.
It's a surprise.
So mostly it's
What's
that
the
we
Scoville?
we don't know
What's the Scoville level?
It's a ghost pepper hot sauce.
Well, I like
and
ghost
so
pepper.
if you guys get it wrong, you will have to take a spoonful of this before the post-game segment, and then we'll try and break it down and analyze why it is you were so incorrect.
Part of me just wants to try it for fun. Like, I don't really want to.
Here's the warning.
You like
Keep away
spicy food?
from eyes, pets, and children. Not for people with heart or respiratory problems. Probably should have checked
That's
with you
on the
guys to
label?
see if you had any of those. Use this product 1 drop at a time. May cause sudden sweating, crying, and a strong desire to travel back in time and stop your past self from ingesting or making the wrong prediction, because you could have just gotten it right and then you would have avoided the punishment.
I have heart problems, too long being an NA fan, so I don't think I can
I opt out of this?
participate.
I don't think
can I
so.
call my lawyer and
By
be like,
by
help?
virtue of stepping on my desk today, that was all the consent I needed.
I'm horrible with spicy foods, but I have nothing to do tomorrow, so let's do it.
Right? Exactly. All right,
He's
Mark's
looking
in.
forward
That's
to
what
it.
I like
Oh,
to
no.
hear.
I don't like that.
I was going to give you guys the opportunity to swap your predictions, but I feel like it's better if you just have to stick with what you went for. With that, we're heading towards game 1, so we're going to toss it out to the battle arena to get into the games.
Thank you very much, Dash, and welcome to the Battle Arena indeed. Golden Guardians and 100 Thieves about to take flight into this one. It's going to be exciting. I am Freak. Azale's to my right. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Excited to see somebody get a win here today.
Yeah,
two teams off to a pretty rough start, but I think it's fair to say they're in fairly different boats, regardless of the fact they have the same record, because 100 Thieves has had such a brutal schedule, and Golden Guardians, did have what on paper at least was looking like a softer first week.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think these were 2 teams that people had hopes for. They thought it was going to be roster improvements for both teams. Of course, we had 100 Thieves who got the 2nd spot from NA going to Worlds.